Okay. Hi.
Hello, hello.
We're officially recording. Um,
Yes.
Very cool. Okay, thank you. Thank you for meeting with me. I'm very excited about this. I've been trying to kind of tap in here and there this morning, but I didn't no information came through, but a general sense of Isis in particular and ancient Egypt, so that might come through. But in advance of that, is there anything that you wanted to focus on today? Bring in abilities, release anything, um, anything here, star heritage, galactic heritage information, anything like that?
Well, it's really funny that you mentioned the Egypt part because before we got on the session, I was on Instagram and I saw a picture of Sekhmet. And I
Hmm.
was like, "Oh, I love this!" And then I posted it to my Insta stories. And and I had a session myself this morning, and Egyptian energy came through there too, and so that's probably like radiating in my organ now. So that's probably what you were picking up on.
Okay. Yeah.
And I had recommended Sekhmet Reiki to somebody earlier, and so that's probably all the Egyptian energy. I think as far as focusing on things, I took a walk earlier, and one of the things that I'm currently releasing is control and needing to know what is going to happen in the future. And I need to be more present because that's where creation happens. And when I'm controlling and trying to figure out the plan, it's making it very heavy and dense and me not even wanting to go after it. Then it's almost like micromanaging self. And I don't like to be micromanaged. And so there's that. And then as well as I feel that my soul mission is kind of changing a little bit here. I was having those thoughts come in earlier of I was helping people with a lot of inner child healing. And then we kind of switch over into helping people more with their soul missions and figuring out what their gifts are and the type of legacy that they want to leave, like why they incarnated. And so I'm very excited about that. But at the same time, also try not to micromanage and control it as far as like, oh, what is this going to look like over here? But I also feel that there is a new assortment of gifts that is about to open up with these new avenues. So I don't even need to know where they are necessarily. Maybe just even like opening up my channels to receive them. Like,
Okay. Like
yeah,
the next.
that's really all. So it's just I know that's super vague for everything.
No, no. So like the
Okay.
what direction you're headed in, almost like your next mission of what you're going to be focusing on to help people bring forth.
Yeah, and honestly, I don't really even need like it's particular answers on it because my higher self is like, stop asking for particular answers because that's you don't out of it. So I would say more so, is there anything that needs to be cleared in my channel lines in order to receive bigger templates and bigger downloads and bigger insights for that? Don't need to know the answers, just are there things that I need to focus on or let go, or how can I make that process a smoother transition, if you will?
Okay. Okay.
Yes. Okay.
Clarity. You're asking for clarity. Yeah.
Yeah, or just clarity in my channels, my channel
Yeah.
lines, because I'm doing a lot of sessions coming up, like back to back to back to back, and I'm already kind of starting to not feel the heaviness of it necessarily, but like doing akasha work with a lot of people, like it can clog your lines
Yeah.
because you're going in so deep with people. So maybe like preemptive channel clearing.
Okay.
Does that
Okay.
make
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
sense?
No, that
Okay.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
And
Okay. Yeah.
the release of control is interesting because I've been having as you were saying it, I'm like I've been having this conversation with myself all day yesterday and today on stop hyper focusing on things like that don't need it. Whereas in the past, in order to get things going, I would pick something. I would have an idea, form an idea, and be really into it. And then I would take all the steps to manifest it and get it going. And then I would hyper fixate on the different people involved, or oh, this has to happen, and we have to have it a session in this time or whatever, right? And I've been telling myself for the last 24 hours just to let it go because sometimes just forming the idea is all that is needed at the time. And just because we're both really very productive people, you know, you and I, and I think the moment an idea comes in, our former selves feel like we have to act on it right away. And then it almost feels like a list that needs to be checked off, and
Mm-hmm.
that's completely getting yourself out of the flow state, and that's actually pushing it away, because the law of attraction states you just come up with it, let it go, and then let magic bring it back, and so I've been having that conversation with myself as well, so I get that one.
Yeah, sometimes things just have to gestate. Like when I was on my walk earlier, I had like several new ideas come in, and my brain immediately was like, okay, well, how about
Hmm.
this, and started trying. I'm like, can I just have an idea?
Yeah.
Can I just can I just like assess if I even want to do this or
Yeah.
not
Yeah. why
before I
why does
start trying to
why is this like a whole new outfit that I'm putting on? Yeah. um
right.
well, and also recognizing, like, that maybe that's seeing down the timeline, so maybe this new idea comes in, and you are aware that it is going to happen, but then you just get in your own way and you're immediately trying to force it to happen, or okay, well, I need to take these steps and I need to do this, and like you're already like lining it up as if it's a recipe, and
Mm-hmm.
honestly the recipe is going to come in naturally, and then in the end you're going to create what you need to create, because you're just I think at this moment we're just witnessing the birth of it. um the other thing, what I identified for myself, and this might help you, is I realize that there are certain things, habits, okay, like a little game that I play on my phone when I just want to tune out and let my brain sort something. Repetitive ideas come in, thoughts of people come in, and thoughts of things that I'm working on come in, and it seems almost like they are compartmentalized, and when I play that game, my brain goes revisits that, and I last night I told myself, we're not doing this anymore. Like, you're literally just doing a habit, and it's not even attached to anything, and so I'm bringing in this anxiety, and then I realized, I was like, well, why isn't this working yet? Or maybe I have to go about it a different way. And I like took a step back, and I'm like, this isn't even a thing. Like, this is just something that you're used to think. You must have been thinking about this before. And now every time you start to play this game, this idea comes back in, and it's not a, it's not something that needs to be worked on, I guess. And so you might find, maybe when you birthed an idea, it was at that spot on your walk. And the next time you're at that spot on your walk, that idea might come back in, and it might start bugging you, making you think, oh, we haven't fixed this yet. And you have to tell yourself, wait a minute, this came in by association. We can just put this back out into the ethers. We're okay. So you might discover when these things, because then I realized I immediately was coming up with these, like, oh, this isn't working because I'm pushing too hard, or if I'm annoying myself, I'm probably annoying the other person with this idea. And then I was like, where is all this coming from?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if that might occur to you, um, when something comes back up, like, okay, wait a minute, this is only happening because I was thinking about this before in this exact same place. I don't know that.
Two things you said very much resonate. One, the recipe. I really like that analogy because prior me needs the whole entire recipe at one time so I can look over the whole entire thing and then make sure, right? And the way that reality is functioning now, which is different from what I have experienced in the past, is we're taking it line by line.
Yeah.
And then that is like, no, I want the whole thing. Okay. Um, the second thing that you said, which was very much in resonance, is a habit that I have formed associated with a feeling or a thought pattern. And you just helped me realize, because I have this, I have accumulated this OCD tendency to constantly open my Gmail app, like constantly open my Gmail app. I cannot stop myself from opening it. Right. And you just helped me realize me opening my Gmail app is me trying to get new ideas.
Hmm.
Because if I don't have the things that I want in my Gmail app, it means that I need to be doing new things. And I'm also going through a lesson of it's okay to be bored.
Yeah.
It's okay not to have a million things going on. It's okay to rest. But I'm caught in this cycle loop with the Gmail thing and the thought pattern. So you just help me figure out why that is. Like I couldn't. I was like, you know what? It just is what it is. Like I'm just gonna do this habit until I figure out like where this is coming from. And you just help me to sync those together.
Oh, good. Okay.
I'm
Yeah.
self-sabotaging myself though, because if the things that I'm looking for are not in my Gmail app, then I'm not good enough, or I'm
Yeah.
not doing enough, or I'm not being enough, or obviously my ideas are not correct, or like all this stuff. So like it's keeping me in this perpetual cycle. And so you help me link those together. So thank you. So now I can be
Yeah.
like, hey, oh, well, we're actually not going to open that app because
Yeah.
it's not
Good.
helping us. This is keeping us in this loop. Okay.
Good. Good. Well, and it's
Yes.
it's it's just permission slips. It's like all these things we already know, but sometimes we just have to bounce it off the other person or
Hmm.
hear it out loud, and then you immediately realize, oh, wait a minute, I've
I should have messaged you before. I should have been like, "Hey, I'm having this OCD thing with my app." Like, I didn't even think to like ask
yeah,
you about it. Okay.
just
Yes, but
clean
thank you. No,
house.
that was super beneficial. Like everything you just said.
Well, when we form habits, typically they're like you and I really like to better ourselves. Like we do a daily check-in. We send each other voice notes of like things that we're contemplating, or like we're constantly self-checking, and part of that, all of that is for growth. All of
Hmm.
that is and it's really important for everyone to, as you go along your journey, check in, and I'm like, am I, is this still serving me? Am I still utilizing this? Have I gotten as far as I needed to with this? Is it time to restart? Am I too comfortable? And,
Hmm.
and if you're too comfortable, you're not growing. um it's and it's such a it's so funny because we spend our daily life doing things to make us comfortable, eating when we're sleeping, exercising, all these things, like maintaining so that we're comfortable. And then as soon as we're comfortable, we get bored and we realize that we need to create new patterns and new neural pathways in order to engage ourselves again and chase our passion and our excitement. And then so it's this it's you have to find a balance between those two things, and
Yeah, because sometimes I'm self-punishing to create forward movement. It's not actually coming
yeah,
from a good place. It's not actually
yeah.
coming from growth. It's just like, hey, you're not doing enough, so you need to do more.
Right.
Okay.
And then you get uncomfortable,
Yeah.
but not in a good way. But like then
Yeah.
you start looking for ways to, like you said, self-sabotage. So you almost blow things up a little bit just in order to force yourself from allowing it to continue, even though you don't know how to fix it. You don't like where it's at. We just keep forgetting that growth happens when we're quiet.
Hmm.
Growth happens when so we go and we learn about a topic, and that's fantastic, but we actually absorb it and utilize it and contemplate it when we're not watching it. The muscle growth happens, like you work out, but then your muscles grow overnight when you're sleeping. And we have to remember that it doesn't have to all be research. We don't always We pick topics that don't have answers, which is great. Like our answers are within, so that's already good. But it's a lot. It's like the habit stuff. It's the 3D stuff where we get hung we get hung up.
Oh yeah. My higher self's like, when are we just gonna be in the quiet? Like when are we
Yeah.
not gonna be listening to podcasts or TikToks or webinars? Like, can we just not be listening to things and just be in the silence? And so I was like, oh, you got me there. So I took a silent walk earlier.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's I do try to purposely switch up my habits. So I I do tend to, at every opportunity, listen to things to enrich my knowledge or my what I'm into at the time, my rabbit holes. And then I've started to just put sacred geometry with meditation music on in the background and sit with my thoughts for a little bit. And then when I'm like I find myself getting either agitated or spiraling on something, I'll be like, okay, now it's time for other input. Because then when you put on the other input, you stop the bad habit and you stop yourself from escalating or the anxiety. And we're complicated.
Yes, there's so many layers.
So many layers. Okay. All right. Well, cool. All right. So let's you already have a good you've already had your frequency work, your session with Case Parks,
Mhm.
Everyday Masters.
We love
You
him. Check him out. Everyday Masters.
everyone
Case
check him
Park.
out. Yep. Yep.
On
When
YouTube. Okay.
yes, he's about to start doing lives too. When what I'm going to do is I'm going to tap into my what's going to happen is you and I our higher selves are going to start, they're already communicating, but we're going to in a sense astral project while we're still very consciously aware of what's going on here. We'll go into a shared translate state. I will do light language and frequency work, and you will receive and feel sensations throughout your body. If we go, I typically go through the chakra system. Very often, it won't just be one; it might be two at a time. It usually doesn't go in order. Um, when we're in those centers, you will probably feel a focus on that area of your body, and then also a lot of sensation in your crown, since it'll be open in order to uh, receive information and light codes and energy.
Cool.
So if you want, you can pull the frequencies in with your hands initially um, on your own just to get the sensation started. I always teach people the way Case teaches people is you can envision a tiny hook in the middle of each palm and an invisible string in between the two of them. And if you place your focus and move one hand and you keep your focus in the palm of each hand, you will typically quickly feel a sensation between the two. You should start to feel the movement of the other hand reflected in the still hand. Often it's in your palm or just your fingers might start tingling, and sometimes the sensations on the back of your hand.
Well, what I felt is these two giant anchors that locked into my hands and were creating an energetic cord that twined in with one another and then went up into the ethers and created a flower of life anchor into the ethers. That's what I felt when you did that. Yes.
All
Okay.
right, that's cool.
It said, okay, get ready. Okay.
With all the different sacred geometry that I see, the flower, I always go back to the flower of life. I believe that one must be really strong in my energetic signature.
Mm-hmm.
And when I started the remote viewing class with Tony Rodriguez,
Mm-hmm.
and we were texting back and forth. We had the pleasure, remember, we had the pleasure of meeting him in Texas. We were texting back and forth, and I said I had this. I think, oh, I had when I was sleeping, I was astral projecting, and I saw ruins, almost like I think I saw the Colosseum, and then I saw a separate image of a farmhouse, but I saw it through a grid, and I think I was getting like a lesson on what happens when you remote view, and I was seeing it through a grid of sacred geometry that had a flower of life pattern. I thought
Mm-hmm.
that was really interesting.
Yeah, I don't typically work with the flower of life as much as you probably do, so that's interesting. Maybe part of your signature field like connected into mine then. Oh, my left hand is like so hot. Like,
Yeah,
yeah.
I often get people either feel like a ton of heat in their hands when I
Hmm.
start, or but then you might get cold. Um,
My
hopefully,
right hand is cold and my left hand is like hot. Okay. I thought it was the air blowing out of my computer and I moved my hand away. I was like, oh no, that's my hand.
yeah. I know that for me, I bring in the energy through my right hand and I send it to my left hand. And
Mm.
then it might just be because I'm right-handed, but then when I work with people, I tend to have my left hand out as the yeah, sending the energy. So you might be getting like a mirror.
Mhm.
Um,
Oh yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah. Yeah.
I am seeing a
It
lot of
must, also must be like a circuit, you know how like the copper circuit.
I am seeing a lot of flower of life though. I don't know if not just because we're talking about it, because when I go in and things are shown to me, I know that I'm not the whole time I channel, I feel like I'm watching a movie.
Yeah, I'm in a pasture and there's like all these like blue birds up above my head that I'm watching.
Aw. When you said that, I saw an image and then I saw a violet sun.
Mm.
That's pretty.
I'm like somewhere. I don't know where I am. I'm
No,
like there's like a barn and like I'm on some farm. Like I don't know where this is. Like I grew up on a farm, but
yeah,
not this farm. So I don't know where I'm at, but we'll see.
you're in a safe, uh, tranquil place. Okay, so we already started in your crown. Like I can see, I think that's what the violet sun was.
Hmm.
It was actually a portal, and there there's a very open space with almost like when you're inside like a cave and then there's a hole in the top of the cave and when you go close you can see the sunlight streaming down.
Hmm.
It almost looks like you can see it coming down, you know, like you'll see the dust traveling in the light. it
Hmm.
it's but we're not in a cave, so I it's a I'm going to say it's like a portal space because when I look up I see um swirling energy. Right now it's in blues.
It's the
Now it's
eclipse portal. When you and I were in Texas and we were looking up, like I saw the sun and it had this violet ring around it and I was like, "Oh, that's so interesting that this violet ring is around this." And then
oh,
when you were
okay.
just talking, I was like, "Oh, this is having to do with the eclipse portal."
Well, it must be adding to the codes that we received, or because like right now its purpose is to connect to your crown and a column that's being created around you that you're in, and it's sending light, so it's sending light codes and connection. I see you holding your hand with your like your two fingers, your two middle fingers connected, and there's an orb of energy, like a ball of energy in your hand. It's little. It kind of levitated up. Let me see.
That was interesting. On the side, on my side, when I was looking at the orb, it turned into a spider, and the spider has not given me the message yet, but I will relay that when she does.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, well, she's probably going to spin a web of sacred geometry because all their webs are sacred geometry. Okay, I just got a deity. That was interesting. The who's the crocodile Egyptian deity?
Oh, Sobek.
Yeah, I saw her, and then it immediately went to Ganesh. So I
I
get
love both of them, so that might be why too. The spider said that I need to start working in the astral realms while I'm sleeping again because I had even forgot about that because I had spoken over my energy body that I will not be doing any more astral traveling at nighttime because it was exhausting me and I was having a difficult time channeling for my clients on this plane because it was so intense while I was in the astral during sleep. And I had completely forgotten that I had turned that off.
Well, you by turning it back on, you're going to get all that new information of the clarity that you're looking for.
I think you're right because, spiders are representative of, cosmic knowledge and things of that nature and dreams. But my channel capacities were not at the capacity that they needed to be in order to be doing this type of work in the 3D and then also doing like astral work. So she's saying
Yeah.
like, hey, let's revisit that and open that back up.
And you are you're definitely getting magic in your hands because now it's much larger. I am actually seeing like almost like a jewel, like a multifaceted purple stone.
Hmm.
Before it was this like small ball of blue energy, and you were kind of looking at it like as a younger self. So this is something that you did when you were younger. But now it's turning into a much larger, um, it kind of has a 3D diamond shape, but it's really big. And it's definitely like in the amethyst realm. Now I have all this purple light everywhere.
I
Um,
do love amethyst. She also said that I cannot access the level of, let's just call it magic, that I need during this time if I'm not doing astral work. Like working with other people is great. We love that. But there's some things that I need to access that I can't access if I'm not doing astral work.
yeah, now I'm getting the honeycomb shape, um, but like a repetitive grid of it. I don't know if that's like a hexagram. Um,
Would you
okay.
ask, and if you will you
Yeah.
ask, and if you don't get anything, that's absolutely fine. But when you said the honeycomb, I was like, oh, Persephone has been coming up a lot in my field. One, because I watched this webtoon series, but also just like her general energy. And she's the beekeeper. And when you said that, I could hear her trying to speak with me and say something, but for some reason the connection is like not clear. Um,
Well, this is
just if you have anything come up with her.
yeah, this is in your third eye space. Um, your room, if you want to call it, has that. It has a grid of honeycomb. Let's say hexagon. It's a grid of hexagons,
Mhm.
and it's organic and alive. So the walls of this space are like living. I'm getting living and breathing. Okay, so she has headphones on.
Oh, that's why I can't hear her. Will you ask too if those hexagonal cubes are timelines?
I got birth and rebirth. Um, okay, hold on. Like she's ready to jump out of here. So, there's a space at the bottom of this room. So this is almost like a treehouse. Like you can go up into this and be in
Hmm.
this, but there's a way out in the ground. Um, she's gonna she's gonna go down the ladder. So hang on. She has all this like beautiful red, like light red hair, kind of wild going everywhere, and she's wearing a lot of white flowing clothing.
We love that. Beautiful. I just said to her, girl, why are you being so elusive?
Yeah, I think well, I think she's kind of your behind the scenes guide.
Mm,
Let's see what else. Because now she just sat down next to you in that pasture. It's a regular sun now. It's not purple anymore. Like you both are just sitting next to each other, ready to have a conversation. Oh, the honeycomb walls also give off a bee frequency. So the buzzing is really um you you can go up in there to do repair on your neural pathways, and it helps with remembering who you are. It helps reconnect you, but it also balances something in your oral field. And that's why she had headphones. Oh, okay. So that's why she had headphones on, because I guess she put herself in there so I could see her, but these tones and this frequency and this sound is for you. And this message was important for you to get, so she showed up here, but then she went down because she doesn't have the headphones on now when she's sitting next to you.
okay. That's so funny because as of recent, I used to be petrified of bees, like so incredibly scared of bees and wasps. I used to get stung when I was a kid, but that was also because I would be freaking out and running around and like getting them all
Yeah.
amped up and stuff. And recently I have been attracting so many bees that just fly right in front of my face, and I'm sitting there having a conversation with them, like, telepathically. And
Yeah.
so I was wondering why all of these
Well,
bees were
it's
just in my face all the time now, just like like sitting there, like looking at me.
it's funny because there's no bees up here. It's
Hmm.
just it's just this almost like a round organic room that's alive that has the grid, and
Hmm.
it's a like an iris flower. There's a lot of blues to purple colors in here, and it's this chamber where you can receive their tones, and their vibration of the buzzing helps repair, and it also helps raise your vibration and your frequency. But this is very deliberate only for you.
It's so funny because anytime that I was talking about like neurodivergency, I would always refer to it as the bees in my brain. Like, obviously, there's not bees, like, it's just the
Yeah.
honeycomb structure. But that's so funny
Sure.
because I was always saying the bees in my brain are buzzing, are really buzzing today. Okay. Love that. Okay. Definitely going to go back in there, in the future to do the tonal neural repair.
Yeah, because you just go in there and it's like a sound chamber.
Hmm.
It is in your third eye. It does help. Typically, I would see more about like connection and intuition. This is a like a live network where you go in to kind of get a break from everything and do repair.
It's like that echo chamber that we talked about with
Yeah.
the other person's. My head is like buzzing so intensely. Like, it is like so much pressure, not in a negative way, but like since you have brought awareness to that, like the tones in there, I can literally feel it repairing the pathways in there through like I can viscerally feel and experience like what you're talking about. Like I can see it happening.
That's cool. Yeah, so it's it's always there for you. You can choose to go in and out. It is a really like soothing, like I can sense that the walls are breathing even though I'm not seeing them breathing. Like this is
Mhm.
very I've never been anywhere. Like this is very organic. Everything about this is alive, but it's a very soothing, dim location. The walls are lit within because there's light, because their energy, and energy is everything. So it's like there's not even really a light source, but you can see. And it has almost like a membrane sensation, like it's it's definitely alive. It's interesting. I've never seen that before.
My eyes. So when you were talking, like I could feel I don't know if you've ever experienced this before where you're almost like looking through an animal's lenses, like through their eyes, and like while you were talking, like you know when you go to the optometrist and they're like clinking down the different perspectives, like I could feel the bee consciousness like doing that in my eyes, like clinking down all these different lenses so that I can see more clearly, is what they were saying, and from multiple perspectives, because they have like obviously have an eye, but they have almost,
Multifaceted
yeah,
view, you think, right?
yes,
Yeah, okay.
yes. And so they were like helping give me some type of like readjustment up there, but not for my like physical eyes, for my like
So
spiritual eyes.
that's for when you're working with others. You go in here for yourself, and then that just gift just came in so that when you're working with others, you're able to clearly see the different fractals and aspects that you're going to be bringing in, because you're not, when you're taking people on journeys, whatever they, like the chakra cleansing, or the um inner child journeys, and all the different things, like basically all the different journeys that you take them on. When you're doing that, you're giving them a guided tour for self analysis, self perspective, better understanding of self. And when you're telling them this information, it's helping them unlock things, and you're doing a lot of work. But this new grid of you seeing is because you're going to be moving into an elevated state of healing in a way that you've never healed before, because you're going to be removed from, it's almost like you're going to see all these mini movies or things happening all at once, and that's really confusing. So it's all going to be, it's almost like you're going to have the ability of to look at like 12 or 15 screens at one time, but it's all going to make sense because you're going to be able to focus in on the one thing and share it, focus in on the other thing and share it. But you're going to be able to take all of that information in at the same time and navigate through it in a way where it all makes sense. Which you already kind of do that, but this is a different clarity, because the purpose of this is to heal them on such a profound level that the instant you speak on this, it's done. Like, that's over. You never have to go back there. You never have to go through this again. The inner child trauma that you experienced will never have the effect on your body the way it has in the past. Like, you're about to it's coming in. I can see your hands towards something, and there's like a big.
Yeah, I'm hearing something like close the chapters, like time, like close the timeline chapters, because what I do now is like one, I can already move inner children out of timelines and relocate them to the new present timeline with an adult. But however, the seams have not been fully closed on those timelines because it's been prevalent to be open for people to uh, learn how to
You
close
don't.
them themselves, kind
Yeah.
of, but now
You're.
everybody's kind of like pushed forward in the
Yeah.
collective experience, and like they don't need to do that anymore, so now I
Yeah.
can just go in there and do like the sewing repair on the timelines. It literally felt like I was having eye surgery, like literally felt like I was getting LASIK eye surgery or something, like, and as soon as you got done talking, like it stopped, but I was like, oh my god, this is so intense.
Something told me to stop describing it. That was, yeah,
It
that
was
was interesting.
so intense in like not in a bad way, but like I not that I wasn't prepared for it, just I was like, oh, okay. we're about to do this.
Yeah. Well, this is there's a lot there's a huge activation happening because what's coming you already have it, but it's being activated now. So this is you've been working towards this your whole life, and you just stepped into a place where your power and your magic and your abilities are going to be so much more enhanced and so much more powerful. You're supposed to be doing something with your hands during this though too. Like it's up to you um what your comfort zone is. It could be Reiki, it could be light language, or it could just be like I don't know, are your eyes open? Okay. Well, if
I can open my eyes.
well, I
They were like closed. They were
I
like
know, huh?
closed to
I
shut.
know. When I do this, if you know, I mean, you can watch this back too. When I first started doing this, it was all light language. And then I realized that frequency was coming through as well. And then I started to understand that I was, just working with energy in general. And now when I channel, I honestly feel like I am reading the air with my hands. And
Hmm.
I think that's what you're supposed to be doing.
It's so funny you say that because I was in a session earlier with somebody, and I don't typically do this when I'm in sessions with people. Like when I was in their etheric field and I was speaking to their energy body, I was taking my hands to scan her to see what
Yeah.
her gifts were. And I was able to pull them off of her auric field to read them, like her energy body's auric fields. And I was like, why am I doing this?
Yeah. No,
Yeah,
because
I'm like, what am I
that's
doing?
that's like a new added component to this level of healing that you're going to be doing two things at once at all times from now on when you're doing this, because the before you were unlocking and letting people gently comprehend their story, their origins, their goals, hack trauma, hack relationship issues, bring in the vibration of abundance, like all the things that we like to focus on. But you were putting okay, so we are always in control of everything that happens to us. You were putting everything in their hands because we as healers understand that we're conduits and this is all you. But your level is so high now that you're actually doing things for them with their permission, and they don't even need they're going to be doing very little work. Like their job is to let it go, to bring to open themselves up, let you see it, and then you're getting rid of it. Or open themselves up, let you see the story and you're telling it. And as you're telling it, the activations, the healing, the shift, it's all occurring as you speak it and as you move your hands in a way that it's never been before.
That's so funny you say that because and I need to take a bathroom break here in just a minute
Okay.
whenever you get to like a stopping point.
No, we can yeah, just finish what you were
But yeah,
saying.
I'll finish that and then my human needs to go to bed. Okay, so there's a lot of energy moving. So when I was doing the 30-day DNA upgrade program, about halfway through, my multidimensional awareness, okay, came in and was like, hey, I could do a lot of this work for you. Yes, it's great for your lower consciousness and your human to be doing these things, but like if you would just allow me to take over,
Yeah.
I could be doing it just as much as work as you can, right? And have almost like this bilocation
Yes,
with
for
two
real.
different
Yeah.
levels of healing and consciousness. And I was like, okay, let's try it out. And then for the last half of that, I let her do a lot of the work. And you're right, like there's like so much more that is because there's two of me. There's
Yes.
multiples of me, right? Like
And
I don't have
you're
to. It was my human saying like, no, it has to be me. It has to be my 3D human self that's doing this work with persons. It was almost like I wasn't allowing these other facets of myself to do what they can do.
yes.
Yes.
Yes. And also you're you're always coming from a place of being fair, of being kind, of being gentle. Like I'm here to stir this up and give you all these things to work on, and now you're going to do the work. But those the people that are going to start coming to you are going to be on a much closer to your level, and so the adjustments and the shifts that you're going to help them make are going to unlock their gifts in a way that like they've never experienced before either. And so all this work you've done up until this point has gotten you to a very high level, but this dramatic shift that we all just went through puts you in like higher sounds, like in an elevated state, like your abilities and your um magic is just so much stronger now that you don't have to do the you don't have to go in quietly anymore.
I have been noticing a shift in what I am perceiving in others with gifts that are outside of kind of what we have in the collective right now, like pulling from different places in the cosmos and the galaxy where these gifts have not integrated into the collective yet. And so I'm finding persons who have these like new abilities that haven't been seen before. And then like you're saying, like kind of key unlocking and saying like, hey, this is what you got going on. Okay. Like, and this is how you can start to develop this. So I can see where that's starting to come in. That's kind of what my higher self was saying too. Like, hey, we're about to kind of switch it up and getting into soul mission and very specifically with spiritual gifts. And so maybe that's what I'm going to be doing.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. If you don't mind pausing for just a second, I'll run to the restroom.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay.
I will figure out how to pause and go right ahead. Go
Okay.
right ahead.
Okay. BRB.
I found it. I found it. Yay. Go me. Okay.
What are you drinking? What's in your cup?
Um,
I was like, are you drinking milk?
no, it's like it's my cacao drink that I
Okay.
make in the morning, and then I
Yes.
always save a little bit of it and I add chia seeds and a few other flavors to
Yeah.
it,
Yeah.
and I make a taller iced version of it.
That makes more
Okay.
sense. I was like, now you
Yeah.
just drinking a whole glass of milk.
You're like, what the? Because I know it looks so weird too because the chia seeds.
Yeah.
Coconut milk.
Yeah.
Okay. Right when I walked back in, I noticed that the projection on my wall, because I have I started with sacred geometry and then I went to Isis. It shifted and now it's a giant phoenix. And when I left the room, I wasn't looking at it, and I was seeing a fairy type uh, person, energy, fae, like a fae, um, but she was very elongated,
Mm-hmm.
almost like a symbol that turned into a person. And I don't
Mm-hmm.
know how to describe that better. And there was a lot of gold and a lot of like oranges and gold and like kind of sun colors. And then when I walked back in and I saw the phoenix, I thought that was interesting because it might have been like a fairy version of a phoenix. Like I just saw her kind of like going up into the atmosphere and rising above and kind of like owning her, like owning her power, but in a very independent and like youthful energy way. I don't know. I
It's so
just
interesting that you saw you because I had that session yesterday where I went into somebody else's energy field and I voice noted you about it, but I had to call in a phoenix
oh yeah.
to,
Yeah.
to help assist me with something. So that's interesting.
Yeah.
But also to kind of like flex power a little bit. So that's very interesting that synchronistically saw that.
That's right. I forgot. That's right. Yeah, I forgot, but now I remember you telling me that. I just thought it was really interesting that a phoenix was up there because that is not what we started with, right? That just
Hmm.
came in. Um, excuse me for just a moment.
Oh, you're fine.
Okay. Okay. Oh, okay. So the one of the biggest, not that you need the reason or the purpose, but one of the it helps to hear it. You are going to be working. Now is the time, after this big shift that a bunch of us just had, maybe because of this, maybe the solar eclipse was the last instigator of this shift because it hit our group. We all had individual, really profound physical experiences around the eclipse, and so we all collectively understood that something happened, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was like a catalyst or an activator for a final. Something came in so strong that it actually physically shifted us. Now I'm seeing that grid again, like I'm seeing all the sacred geometry grids. Um, the we are at the beginning. We remember how to do this, so we already know what to do. But we are officially at the beginning of the new Earth. Oh, got my whole body just lit up. So this is like, we've known that we were splitting, but I'm pretty sure we split because I don't even see them. I barely see it attached at the bottom. Whatever I'm looking at is like creating a V, like the the shift apart is almost completely done. And so this very physical, powerful last agitator that shifted people was forcing them to choose. And so those who are chosen to stay behind and keep being a long time human, keep coming back, keep working in the 3D, that's fine. Because there's, in this incarnation, in this lifetime, that's the choice and that's fine. And it doesn't mean that you can't move to the other Earth when you go back. Oh, all this energy is just shooting through me. It's so intense. But you, healers, us, are the healers that are on Earth that are awake right now, are about to take all of the new people that just stepped onto this timeline and made this choice to come with us, and we're going to be working with them in different ways. And it's going to be, I just saw like the four seasons or the four elements. So you're not going to just go in and tell their story anymore. You're going to go in and physically move things. And so it's going to take us physically moving our hands and moving energy. It's going to take our intuition and our third eye to see. It's going to take energy shifting between us and physically altering things. Like, there's a lot of aspects in this, some that we've never even worked with before, but as soon as they come in, we're going to know. We're going to remember how to use them. We're going to know what to do with them.
Love that. I did get the message beforehand that I'm only working with healers now. And that's
Yeah.
probably reminiscent of what you were saying. It was like the people that hopped on over to the other side. Um, you want to hear something funny?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
was going
Always.
to, I was gonna, I was gonna, I was gonna have you because I don't see images. Like I feel images through my clairsentience.
Mhm.
And I was like, it would probably be a lot more beneficial if I could actually like see things like other people do or see things that are outside of me. Right. And my higher self came in because I was going to have you ask about it. And she was like, you already distracted enough. You don't need to be seeing stuff outside. And I was like, okay,
That's
that's a
funny.
valid point. She's like, you're not going to be doing the work you need to do if you've seen all these things outside of you. I was like, okay. So
Well,
I got the answer.
you are going to start seeing shimmers, like literal shimmers of like gold and iridescence and holographic shimmers.
Mm,
And that's just letting you know, um, outside energies that are around you that are working with you, but all in a very positive way.
mm.
But you are going to start seeing, like, that's one of the things that you're being given, like an outline in a shimmer and
Oh, thank
small.
goodness, because I don't want to just be seeing shadows. Okay,
Yeah, no, this is
shadow people.
the word shimmer, and the way I saw it, it's almost like um an outline in glitter.
Hmm.
Like, you're going to start seeing some of that.
Oh, it's like what came up when you said that is like, in True Blood where she starts being able to like perceive the fairy portals, and they're
Yeah.
like these shimmer
Yeah. Yeah.
lines or whatever. That's what it reminded me of.
Well, yeah. I just got, okay, so look for them on trees, especially where a branch has used to be or a knot.
That
And
is so wild you're saying that, because I have literally been spending so much time with trees recently, and I like have to be touching them. Like my back has to be on them. I have to be looking at them like they're like talking to me all the time.
yeah,
So that's so funny. Okay.
well, trees are portals because
Mhm.
the roots go down into the earth network. Um, I mean, you know that, but if you want to practice this gift, you'll be able to see them against a tree a lot easier. You will start seeing faces a little bit in trees too, and
Mhm.
don't let that, I mean, I don't think it would scare you, but um because your gift of sight and your gift of manipulating thing energy with your hands is really strong right now, but you haven't really utilized it, but it's there. And so if you want to start working with that, you'll start seeing eyes, and then you're going to start seeing faces and trees.
Oh my
And
God, you just made me realize that I have been working on myself energetically recently for the last like 2 weeks, and going in and trying, or not trying to, but I have been modifying things in my architectural structuring um without even like consciously doing it. Like it's some
mhm,
stuff that like the higher awarenesses of me have been getting me to do. But I have been utilizing my hands like I was Doctor Strange in the ethers, and I'm like, what is happening? Why am I creating these geometric patterns and creating these webs and like doing all this stuff? And I was like, okay, well, I guess it's just something new. So
yeah.
that totally makes sense. Okay.
Um, Sometimes just speaking it into existence, like what I just told you isn't a suggestion. It's you, well, you just said you're already doing this, but now you're really for real doing this.
Yes. That
Like
just like so that just like clinked in like so much. Thank you saying that.
it doesn't have to look like the way I do it, but you can definitely do everything that I do. You've
Well, are
just
they are they are they asking me to do it with my physical hands or my etheric hands?
Your physical hands have a lot to do with it because the more you start shifting energy and moving things, that helps. Like the whole, okay, so without fully knowing what I'm doing, the whole time I've been working with you, my one hand is just moving around energy, and then
Mm.
my other hand has been doing light language. So it's like I'm manipulating codes and frequencies and unlocking things and moving things, and then my other hand is um I'm breathing uh let's see, codes. Okay, let's just say it like this. It's almost like I'm reading a language, or I'm creating a code, and then it manifests, and then my other hand is working around this energy ball that is created from the code that I'm reading, right? And so
Mhm.
like, and now I just got cuneiform, which is one of the original languages that they would put onto the stone tablets. um these are all codes, and there's a lot of unlocking and activating that happens, and it is a physical thing that you're going to do with your hands to manifest these into reality, because maybe when you're meditating or driving or watching whatever TV, it doesn't have to be this big, like, important thing where you light a candle and incense and all, like you can evoke this at any time. um in the beginning, if you want to start while you're meditating and it's quieter, and actually like get a really good idea of what you're doing, because you would put yourself in a trance-like state and actually understand what you're doing, but eventually you won't have to at all. Like this is just who you are.
Well, when I was back in my rave days, okay, I was doing light language before I realized I was doing it with my hands. And then I got really into it. And I would do like all types of lives and like all this stuff and like moving my hands you know, and like I know I don't need to necessarily know what I'm doing. I just knew it was
Yeah.
working, right? And people loved it. It was great. I loved it too. And then it just like stopped. And I was like, okay, well, that'll swing back around if I ever need it, right? But when
Yeah.
you were talking, and if this is something that you get any information on, great. If not, that's fine too. When you were talking, and I was like, okay, well, do they want me to move it with my physical hands or my etheric hands? And then you said physical hands. There was this voice inside of me that said, I don't want to do that, and was very like stern about it and made me put my hands almost like in a like she was getting angry.
Yeah.
I was like, girl, why are you angry? What are you upset about? And she was like, I'm not doing that. And I was like, okay. And
Um,
I was asking her if she was embarrassed
yeah.
to do that in front of people but I'm not though, because I used to do it all the time.
Yeah.
So I
You
don't
don't
exactly know why she's angry.
you can do this alone. She's angry because she used to be forced to do it in the same way that like the oracle where I think it was always women would sit and breathe in the ethers that was coming up from the ground and then
Oh,
they
with
would
the
channel.
Delphi.
Yeah. I don't get, yes, exactly. I don't get Delphi, so this took place somewhere
Yeah, something
else,
else.
but
Yeah.
you were your gifts were known when you were really young, and so you were placed into this sect
Okay.
and made to do made to receive information like you were forced to do something that came natural to you, and so um it it's this is sacred and you were forced to use it, and so it was you had no control over it.
That you just made me remember something. And how interesting. And yeah, I'd be angry too.
Yeah,
Yeah, no,
but
I'll talk to
that's
her about
over.
that. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll talk to her about that. But because I'm not gonna force her to do anything. Okay. So um a long time ago, which is not even a long time ago, but like 4 years ago, I had a inclination that one of my incarnations parents were of this like royal lineage, and then they put all of these like really heavy expectations on me to like do all of these like things for whatever, and I like very much rebelled against
Yeah.
them and told them like I'm not doing this anymore, and that was like a whole soul contract vow thing that I had to work out with her and pull her into my timeline. And so it's interesting that you're pulling up another one, and I'm wondering how many other versions of myself are out there that have been like forced to use their gifts in some type of way, because in this incarnation I also have a spirit of like, well, if you tell me to do it, I'm not going to do it,
Yeah.
right?
Yes. Yes.
And I'm wondering if that's coming from them, and that would serve me to do some deeper work on finding them and helping them and pulling them into my timeline and be like, well, nobody's going to tell us what to do. Like, this is our choice to do these things now.
This was in a temple setting, this one in particular, where the floor is stone, but there's some type of crevasse.
Mm-hmm.
Almost like I want to say water might have been in there, and some type of essence would come up, and the vapors would put you into a trance-like state. And I kept getting wild magic. And so part of what was happening is you were aware of the powerful wild magic that you were able to harness, and being forced to use it or to like they were asking you about war. They were asking you about decisions that you didn't want the responsibility of making, first of all, and it was being used for like negativity, and when you have wild magic, it's unharnessed, it can go in any direction. So if you're pushed into sending troops somewhere in a covert way to gain control over another army, it's going to work, but that's the last kind of responsibility you would ever want to have to be given.
Oh, I'm about to throw up. You not throw up like physically, but
Yeah.
energetically. I have to tell you something. So this, hopefully this is not a spoiler for anybody. If you're watching this right now, it's gonna be a movie spoiler. Okay, so you can skip forward. But we won't even say what it is. Okay, so I was watching this movie a couple weeks ago, and there was this person who was found to be an oracle, and then she was forced to become an oracle for this sect of people, and it was underground, and there was a crevasse there as well, okay, that held a lot of water, and vapors came up from it and all this different stuff, okay. So they were basically like, if you don't do this, then we're going to harm you and your son, okay. And she was like, okay, well, I'll do it. And the reason that they wanted her to do it is so that she could participate in the war. And that was so incredibly triggering for me, and I didn't know why. Like, so triggering. And that makes sense now because I was basically seeing what happened to
Yeah.
me in this other
Yeah.
timeline. Okay.
Like you were alone in this room doing this, but like you're seeing things that you're not even telling them.
Hmm.
Like you guys don't want me to fuck with this. You understand? Oh, like you're making me do something and it's gonna work, but like we shouldn't have this advantage. Like we shouldn't even be doing this to begin with. Like these are not, there was no love and light part of part of this. So on your own you could go in there and work with things, and that's where you would see the fae, and that's where you would play with fairies and things, right? But when you were forced to see things, you were always right, but you were never proud of that. While you were talking, a burning cross came up, and I saw you I saw you burning some type of religious persecution from the past. I didn't get anything else, but it was like a completely fire engulfed wooden cross that came down, and we got rid of it. So there was something.
Like I was persecuting other people, or I
No,
was
no,
in
you were persecuted by religion for the gifts that you had. I didn't see anything else
mm,
about it, but like it was a very heavy um foreboding. It might have been in that timeline because it's like when people use religion to be self-righteous and almighty and high and mighty, but they're only using it for control,
mm-hmm.
and you saw through it completely and hated that was even part of the way people lived, because you were gifted with this wild magic and comprehension of just working with nature, and like just leave me alone and let me do what I'm good at, and you were in this formal setting with all of these other belief systems and forced ridiculousness around you, and that's the life that you were. It could have been because of being royal, where there's just, this is the way things are, and the reason that we've gotten this far. um I just got the word Rosicrucian. That's not a negative, but that is something associated with ancient. Okay, that's, never mind.
Oh
That's
my God. Earlier when I was on my walk, I looked down on the ground, and there was this book, like this tiny book, like this really like minuscule, like miniature book, and it was a holy Bible. And I picked
huh.
it up, and I was like, how odd that I
Yeah.
found this. Like, I made a video about it earlier. I'll show you, but I
Okay.
was like, oh, this is so interesting. And on some of the pages, there was fire with people in it. And I was like, oh, okay. I was like, this is so intense. Okay. There's so much trauma that's coming up in my body right now. Like, so much trauma I can feel in my body,
Well,
which is
you
fine.
have.
It's fine.
Well,
We need to
you're
get rid
gonna
of it.
get.
But
Yeah, you're gonna get rid of all of this, and then you're never gonna have to
like,
go
my
back.
body is on fire. Like,
Yeah.
from deep in my fields. Okay.
Well, we can go.
Oh no,
This
it's
is
fine. I
this is
told my
done.
no, I know it's fine. I told my body, I was like, hey, like, let's just sift through it, because then we could just be over a lot of it. Okay. Like, we're safe. Is what I was telling my body.
Yeah.
Like, we're
Well,
fine.
it's done.
Yeah.
It's done, and now I'm
Well, I do
seeing.
need to go get that timeline though, because I can feel that she's stuck. And so I need to go later, or I can just tell her now actually, but I invite her into my timeline.
She walked into the room that was in front of her, because she's in a darker place when she's looking at that crevasse in the stone. ground. It's in a temple or a castle though. And now she walked out into the room that's in front of it that she was kind of seeing from a distance. And there is a big round, I'm gonna say pit. I don't know, but it looks like lava is in it. And she's like walking around it.
Okay.
It's just like a big pool, and it doesn't have any evil feelings around it, but it's some type of energy that was harnessed in this place. It's been that this family has it's like the center of the effectiveness that this family has, almost like um the rich families that have
Yeah,
been.
like the core spark or something like
Yeah,
that. Yeah, yeah. She does listen, she said, what if I just throw myself into that? And I was like, not the intrusive thoughts. Don't do that.
yeah, yeah,
Don't do
yeah.
that.
No, she's walking around it looking at it.
Yeah.
Oh, well, actually, she's looking at it like you have no power over me.
Mm-hmm.
Like this energy center really is just what you make it. And so you can harness it for good, you can harness it for bad. It's unusual, it's one of a kind. It definitely made this family seem like they had some kind of connection to God or whatever, but it's just a pit of energy of
Mm-hmm.
like lava. And it's interesting. It's cool looking. But
Yeah, they probably programmed her in some type of way to make her think that it had power over her.
yeah. No, her family had power over her because
Yes. Not
she's
the actual pit, the family.
yeah.
Yes.
There's there's reptile, but like cute little bearded lizard type reptiles coming in now. So I don't know if they're just in the place where she lived. Okay, so now you're in a elevated, like a tower type environment by your choice that has like a rounded, like a porch area that you can actually step out onto. So it's like attached to the building, but it's outside of the building. You step out onto it and you can see. So you're in a tropical location. So even though that really felt more like Game of Thrones,
Mm-hmm.
now that I see your environment, you're actually in a like a tropical environment. And I think that's where the lizards live. I mean, this might I'm getting like Incan, so this might be Peru.
It's so funny you say that because here, like where I live, like physically now, there's like all these newts and geckos and stuff. And even on my walk today, I was like seeing them everywhere, and I've been seeing them a lot more recently and paying attention to them and like saying hello to them. So it's very interesting that you
I think they would crawl up and like hang out on there because you had like plants and stuff out there. You were working with your wild magic in a way that people didn't understand, and so
mm-hmm.
you would grow flowers and um you had a lot of magic out in the open that people didn't realize was magic, and so you would draw in um these lizards would come up and kind of just hang out around you, and they would be in your energy, and they would almost.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, no, you go ahead.
This is making a lot of sense because I have been doing people's energy readings and stuff, and sometimes there are things that come in that I want to relay to people, and typically I do, but it's almost like I like watering it down because it's so vastly outside of what is in the collective right now that sometimes I'm worried about, and unconsciously I think or consciously worried about being perceived as like wackadoo even in spirituality. You know what I'm saying? And so like I'll
Yeah.
water it down for people. So I'm not like, hey, let me tell you about all this stuff. And they're like, what are you even talking about? But that makes kind of sense with this timeline and this other and kind of like that other timeline from like way back of like, okay, well, obviously if we like we can be magical, but if we're too magical, then people are gonna be like, oh no, she's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or try and harm us.
Well, you don't,
I
you
mean,
didn't, yeah, you didn't want the, it, you were, you didn't want to share everything about yourself because if they knew that you were even stronger, then they realized it, it could get worse. But it was, you were so magical that you had to act on it, but you did so much of it in private because um, that was your chance to be authentic. And when you were forced to do stuff because of your family, you felt it was effective, but you felt inauthentic because you were being used. So, okay, as you were talking, this is totally different, but a huge angel appeared. I rarely see this. A huge angel appeared, and then they kind of came down like I was facing them, and they almost look like a sculpture. They're very still, but then when they got down low, I saw their head go back. My head went back at the same time, and I saw all of this energy leave through their mouth, and I understood that that was them coming in to work with you, but they actually had to let some of their by they had to lower their vibration or frequency
mhm.
to get to where we are to be able to be here, and I just saw that transformation take place. But you just had a huge, feels like a female angel come down to work with you, um to
I think it's Holy Amethyst is whom I was hearing.
yeah, because you're not gonna be, you're going to be valued and respected for all of what you're about to do. You're not going to be like all that is over. Like we are stepping into such a new version of, okay, it's not new. We're remembering who we are and who we were thousands of years ago, and that magic is coming back in all of us here. And it's going to take some we're used to it. It's going to take some getting used to for all the other people, but they are not going to be as surprised, or they're not going to be afraid. They're going to be so grateful that someone knows how to do this and can help guide them because they are starting to fill up with it and they don't know what to do.
That's what my higher self was telling me on my walk. She was like, "Girl, stop worrying about all that stuff. Like, we're not even in that reality anymore
Yeah.
because there's some stuff from the old timelines that I lived in this incarnation that we don't have to get into in this recording, but some things that happened when I first woke up that caused a lot of disruptions in my reality because of my magic coming in very quickly. And there's still some facets of me. They're like, well, that's going to happen again. And I was even having a conversation with them earlier, and I was like, no, like it literally can't. Like we're literally in a completely different reality scape with like there's absolutely no way that can happen. So
Yeah, no,
I was
you're
trying to
so
explain
beyond
that to
that.
them earlier. Yeah, there's like no literal way that that could happen.
Well,
Okay.
you're a leader this time. So you're so supported by others who are like me and others in our group that are aware of this being real. Things that are about to happen to people are going to be so real, they are not going to be able to dismiss it. And then
Yeah.
they're going to find you who knows how to use it. Um, while you were talking, you were getting a throat unlocking activation in your throat chakra, which does two things. It helps you speak your truth, but more so, it helps you bring the magic that you're perceiving. It helps you speak it into existence as well. So, um,
Mm,
it our unlocking our throat chakra isn't always about talking. A lot of it times it's about um, being able to read something, being able to
Mm-hmm.
being able to turn knowledge and information into something that you can use here. And it was funny. Right at the end, I saw a giraffe, like a cute giraffe, and I was like, "What did that come in for?" And then I realized that they have a really long neck, so it was like an expansion in your throat chakra, and that was a cute symbolism that I got at the end.
I have this book that I have been reading, and today I read it's a very activating book, and it has some like real old magic stuff in it. And it was saying that you have to be very mindful with some of the words that you are invoking because let me try and pull it down. It chords certain frequencies and vibrations into this reality when you speak these words when you are um an invocator of magic in that way. And my higher self on the walk earlier was like, hey, we don't always have to talk. Like sometimes it's more about what is happening in the silence. And not that we do need to be necessarily like mindful of our words, but the way that my energy is shifting, there's going to be a lot more power behind them. And so I need to kind of like be quiet for a while so that I can better understand the vibrations that I'm sending out of my mouth. If that makes
Mhm.
sense. Like she wasn't saying shut up and be quiet, but she was like, hey, like you're really sending some really intense stuff to people. So we need to be mindful of what we're
Well,
doing.
and you're gonna be heard more than you ever have before because people are gonna actually the people that are coming to you understand what you're talking about. It's not just a story that's fascinating, but it's going to take them years to unfold. They're not at the beginning of their journey anymore. And so when you're sharing your information, you're going to be heard on a level that is way higher. Like
Yeah.
when you're
Deeper,
talking to
deeper, deeper parts of them, not their human brain.
yeah,
Like I'm talking to their human. Yeah.
you're always talking to their higher selves, even if they're in the beginning of their journey, but this is different. So when you were just explaining all that to me, I saw you from behind and you were in a fairy state and your ears had like a pointed, they were kind of pointed at the top. And I was getting, as you were saying, I don't need to talk as much, whatever. I was getting that you're um, tuning in to vibration and frequency and information through your ears. And then as I was understanding that, I saw this like organic, almost like leaves or flower type collar around your neck by choice. And that's going to help you hear what needs to be heard, told, filter it through this very protective and powerful. It was shown to me as like a organic collar, but collar is a bad word. I just don't know what else to call it. Almost like
No, I know. Yeah, I know what you
yeah,
mean. Yeah, yeah. Like a
it's
deck, like a
decorative.
decorative.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
And that's going to help you when it so it's there's a process of what's happening. It's going to come um in through like your fairy energy ears in a sense, and then you're going to filter it down through this piece that is going to help when you share it. Not only are you going to be heard and understood, you're going to be speaking spells.
That's what she was like. We need to be mindful about. That's what she was saying. She was like, we need to be more mindful about what we're saying. While you were talking, I can feel all of this energy draining out of my sinuses. They're not actually my sinuses, but like in that area, right? And through my ears and down my throat. Like all this stuff like pouring down like that, I guess has been stuck up there.
It's it's being replaced with energy that has colors of like a pale purple to a cranberry color, all these hues of from reds to purples, and it's all being replaced with, like, it almost looks like I'm watching energy pour down through tunnels in a cave system.
Yeah, I can feel it pouring in. Yeah. It feels a lot better than what went out. I will say that. I also asked her too if I can not turn the necklace off, but if I can like
Oh yeah,
okay.
it's part
Like
of a cape. It's part of a cape.
yeah, I need to I was like, I need to just be having regular 3D conversations sometimes. Okay. Like I
Yeah.
need to like not be doing that. So like, she was like, yeah, you just turn it off.
Well, this is a place when you go into channeling.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what she was like. This is
Yeah.
only gonna like be active like while you're channeling and stuff. So
I just saw Where the Wild Things Are.
mm-hmm.
You know how he has a crown and he
Mm-hmm.
has all the like, I just saw a situation like that where you get to go and just play, and you're around all these other things that you don't look like them, they don't look like you, but you get to go there and sometimes just play and like practice your magic and just let it
I've
go.
been there before. I know exactly what you're talking about. Yep. Yep.
You can just be yourself and throw your hands out and energy can fly off. It's not going to hurt anybody. It's not going to, you're actually entertaining them. You guys are all laughing together. It's very just fun and kind of frolicky. Okay, so we went down to your solar plexus, and that's where you're going to, that's where everything's ending up that you need to get rid of.
Probably all that masculine energy.
It just feels really, really, really intense. Like,
Yeah, like tight and like yeah.
so all the processing and everything, I guess it had to end up somewhere. And so
It's
it's,
probably why my stomach has been hurting and upset for the last like 3 days.
yeah.
I have been waking up. Oh, that makes sense. I have been waking up ever since we got back from Texas with stomach aches every single morning. Every single morning, I'm like, why does my stomach hurt? But if it's trying to filter all this like old stuff out through that,
Yeah.
that makes sense. But it was like, oh my God.
All right. So we just opened, it almost, okay. In Star Wars, when they hit that button and they go hyperspeed and like they're traveling towards something really fast. And as they're passing things, it's like stars are like
Mm-hmm.
okay.
Mm-hmm.
So but in a more colorful ways. So we're racing towards a very bright, tinged with gold light, and we're we're tracking all of this like electricity looking colorful streaming by, like lines are streaming by us, and
Mm-hmm.
that's where you're going to take all of this and leave it because it's just going to disperse into the atmosphere and it's not going to matter, and we're out now and now you're just floating. Like I felt that building and it was so intense, like we had to go somewhere with
Yeah,
that.
it looked like honestly like I saw a flashback of what would have happened if we didn't do that, and it was almost like a star combusting in on us.
Yeah,
And it was like, okay, yeah, we definitely need to like get rid of that.
it was nuts because it was like really intense. Like I just felt like this crazy frequency, and then all of a sudden a rush forward, and then as soon as we got out it was like and now we're just floating. And now I see like a Buddha, like you're sitting in like a Buddha position with your legs crossed, and there's just gold light, some orbs floating around. And you just brought in a huge wave of abundance by doing that. You just
Well,
moved
we love
into
that.
you just moved into a really, really huge, like huge shift into abundance. And that's going to come in all different forms. It's going to start with a lot of clients. But I can see your hand is going like this, like you're bringing it to you, right? Just you're bringing it in.
Yeah, I think this session gave these facets of myself that were concerned about reaching our magic in its totality. Those permission slips, like you were talking about, of like, no, this is what we came here to do. Like we need to stop kind of pussyfooting around to it.
Yeah,
And just
yeah,
like do it.
yeah.
Right. But at the
Like
same time, holding grace for my human that actually went through a lot of trauma in other incarnations and not forcing them to do that either. Like it's had to work out in divine timing and divine alignment.
you just were handed a okay, so in tarot it's um is it rods or what's the
Oh, like the wands?
yeah, okay. Well, I didn't want to say the word yet, but yeah, it's exactly what it is. So there are these flowers that grow really, so it's like a stalk, and then all of these buds form on the stalk, and then they all like it, I see it, I don't know what they're called. They're like dark green, and they're long, and then all these little buds form as it grows up the stalk, and then the flowers pretty full on top.
Mm-hmm.
So you got a like it goes from wand to staff to there's a word that I can't get, but you were handed this, and it's like this really, it's a wand, and it's really tall, and it has all of these pieces, components to it that grow up it. So there's like crystals and metal, there's filigree, there's like metal that's like a vine that wraps around it in different parts. Some of these are lit from within. You can evoke fire on the top, but only half of it if you need to. And I don't know what you need that for.
I wonder if that's a wand that I received when you and I did that group
Yeah,
healing. You know what I'm talking about?
yeah, that I thought of that too, but I forgot already. Yeah, but this is yeah, this is cool. You were it's like 3 feet long.
Yeah, something's like, oh, this has been curating since we went on that journey together.
Well, we went on that journey with other people, and this is
Mm-hmm.
letting you know that this is like, oh, the you can turn the fire on if you need to lead the way. So it has a, if people need to find you, you'll turn that on, and then
Mm.
all of the crystals around it will um project the light in all different directions. So it's like a, you'll be leading people out of the dark with this. Oh, and in like a really big way.
Well, we love that.
Yeah, yeah. You're on a I thought I saw a horse for a second. Well, it was actually like I was trying to figure out what I was seeing because I saw two of them. It's you're like on a magical carousel, but the one that has like it has all different fey animals, and then you're holding this, and you're there are two like mythical, almost like tiger or lion female. Um, it's a it's more like a throne that you're sitting on the carousel, and they're on either side of you. They're like flanking you, and you have a rich indigo colored robe on when you or or dress when you use this. This is part of where this comes from. You don't have to ride the carousel to use it, but
Yeah.
it's where it kind of has that. It's like movement. Oh, and then it as you go around, it's showing you different things. So it's not like stationary somewhere. It's actually in the 8D astral. And when you're on it, you can you get to sit down and enjoy the ride in a sense, and then things are gonna be shown to you that you need, like information that you're gonna collect.
I just had an awakening about something. So I was looking at myself while you were saying this, and I was like, oh no, we can't be that. Like, there was a version of me that was like, no, no, we're not going to do that. Like, we're supposed to be very humble. And I was explaining to her, like, hey, it's okay if you're more advanced than most people. Like, there has to be people, because like, she was like, no, and I could see what she was doing. She has not, out of malice or anything, has been kind of like blocking some of my abilities and gifts so they don't supersede others, because
Because
it's like she's like,
you
oh,
hate go
go
ahead.
ahead.
You hated the family using that.
Yes. And so she's like, well, that's what
Yeah.
we're not
Oh,
going to be condescending to others, or even unconsciously condescending. Like, if
yeah.
I'm talking on a verbiage level that most people don't understand, that's going to come across as condescending. And I was like, no. I said,
No.
there's got to be somebody to show people like what they're able to do. And if we're just continuing to not step into what we're able to do, then like we're not actually helping people. We're just barely helping
Yeah,
people.
this is I just keep getting mastery. Like this is you are remembering your mastery. It has You can be incredibly humble throughout all of this, but you're masterful in this area, and there's no reason to not give it your all when you're sharing your gifts, because people are coming to you for more reasons than they realize. And so when you're tapping into your ability, you you have always been this powerful. You've already mastered these skills, and so it's just bringing them down to use them. But who you are, you're you are a the version of you here in this lifetime is a collection of all the lives you've lived up until this point. Even though there's no such thing as time, you've
Mm-hmm.
you've still collected so much knowledge. Like, you've been on this path in every incarnation in many different ways, right? And now it's time to use it.
Yeah, that's what she was saying. She's like, it's fine if we wear the robes.
Yeah.
Like, she was like, it's like if you, she was saying, it's like if you, she's like her human terminology. She was like, it's like if you, like if you have all these people that are at college and they're graduating, and then you have some people who are wearing like specific cords because they've attained certain like knowledge and things like that. Like, let's what are those things called? The sigma cum
Oh,
laude, or right, that
yeah.
you get like a 4.0. But she was like, actually, you're the professor sitting behind them with the
Yeah.
professor PhD cords, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's okay to signify and to wear the cords and the robes, right? Because then that's how people know to come to you to be the one to help them. But I have had like a very big aversion to that. Like, I have been very much making myself and my org feel like I have been self imposing, making myself small in other people's presences so I don't come across as condescending. And I'm like, we need to stop doing
Well,
that.
one of the biggest themes in your this incarnation is being fair. and
Yes.
and so you never want to push your agenda, your opinions, your lens. You never want to push it on people. That's why you're always checking in and making sure, like, you making sure that you're under, not just that you're understood, but that they understand your intention behind it.
Mm-hmm.
Because you don't like to push any. You're very strong in your own convictions, but you don't want to push it on anybody. But that's totally different. This is okay. Like, when I have a cake business. If someone sees something on my portfolio and they're getting married and they want that cake, when I make a contract with them and say, yes, I'm going to give you exactly what you're asking for, that's my job. They
That's what
can't,
she's saying. She was like, "Girl, show them what you can do because
yeah,
otherwise, how are they gonna know?"
they're going to come to you for a reason. There is a lot.
Show them your portfolio, like your actual portfolio, not the fake
Yeah,
one you have
yeah,
curated and you show
yeah.
people.
No, you can step into this position that you've already stepped into it with such grace and dignity and remain humble throughout all of it and still be magical as fuck. Like you are not intimidating anybody. You are here if you are here on a mission and to serve in a way that has been leading up to this, but now it's like the blinders are off now. There's something in this. We're still in the 8D, and this is your wizard realm. There's a lot of wizard imagery in here. And so if you go through where you see yourself on a carousel and you're being shown things, just know that you're in a wizard dimension.
That's absolutely what it feels like. And I will say that I just saw a depiction of what I was doing with people's higher selves. Like she showed me, obviously it's like a human thing, but human symbology. But she showed me where I was contacting people's higher selves in the ethers to contract to work together in this incarnation, right? Of like, hey, um, let me show you what I can do. And like really kind of like showed them this portfolio, but I was only showing them like 3 pages of a 100-page book because, and I wasn't showing them the rest of the book. I was only like, here's some previews and this is all I can do. Right. And I was like, oh my God, like what have I been doing?
Wow.
And I was like, okay, but it harkens back to kind of like it's not even something that I was consciously aware that I was doing until you just brought it up. Like I could see it clear as day. And I was like, why have I been doing that?
Well,
But it
that's
makes
okay
sense.
because that's what
Yeah.
everyone's in need of to this point. Okay. So we're about to finish, but we just went somewhere that I found out where you've been hiding there. Okay, I don't know how to say this right. Um, there is a uh, okay. I'm trying to let me. I have to get this right. Be able to speak this. Let me just tell you what I saw. I'm not quite sure if it's you, a fractal of you, or someone you work with. There is a feminine. She's appearing as a sculpture, but I know she's not. She's underwater. It's dark. When she first showed herself to me, she had these tiny little antenna that came out over her eyebrows, but she doesn't look fey. She looks hidden and powerful and can be dangerous. This might be a this might be like the underground underwater.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
like aquatic. I can see
Yeah.
her. Yeah. Yeah.
She's ancient,
It's like
ancient.
down in the ocean, like as
Yeah. Like
down the ocean. Yeah.
ancient, hidden on the floor of the ocean.
Yes.
That's where she is, and she's been down there a really long time, and that's where you are hiding your most powerful parts.
I'm talking to her now. I'm like, girl, what are you doing down here? Like, why
Yeah,
are you down here? Why are we down here?
like Mintaka came up, but I don't know. Like if it is, it's in like the deepest part of it, and
This is somewhere. Yeah, I think this is somewhere else. This is somewhere I haven't seen before.
she was celebrated somewhere though because there are sculptures of her, but this is a very sacred, hidden, ancient magic. And this is part of your origin. And now I can see like we're inside a cave and there's an eye. a giant eye like looking in at us, and we're inside this cave. It's not scary though.
I just heard too that Medusa. I've always had
Okay,
kind of like I've
dude,
had this
I
like
almost
okay.
said Medusa and I
Okay, okay,
didn't
okay,
because
okay.
it's not her, but I
Yeah,
almost
it's
said it.
not. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So I've always had this like interesting connection with Medusa where it's like kind of resonated, but then not at the same time. And what I heard my higher self say that Medusa's archetype is actually derived from her.
Because she has a tail like a mermaid,
Yeah.
but she's very imposing. Her hair is wild.
Yeah, she intense.
But and these little like tiny um antenna come from like the inner, they start at the inner part of her eyebrows, and they're not very big, but they're on her face. And but she's humanoid. She looks like a human. And she is like intensely powerful and intensely ancient. And she was known because there are like she was honored and celebrated. They weren't afraid of her, but they were aware of her power. Oh, I okay. She's part of the um she might be Anunnaki. She's part of the original Cedars, but when they brought humans here and they got to that point when they realized that they we can't coexist with them, they went underground. But she didn't care because that's where she's from. So she's held court and she's been a powerful figure throughout time, but the civilization that she existed in was one of the first. Like we're talking like millions of years ago kind of energy.
It makes sense why I have been okay. So I'm finally at a place where I can channel just directly from different incarnations of myself and not have to learn modalities on the 3D human plane. I can just channel directly from other persons, right? That's where I'm getting a lot of the abilities that I'm able to do. And that totally makes sense with all these other incarnations already not feeling safe with all of this stuff. And then me actually having trauma in this human incarnation from magic. And then why I have been hiding pages of my portfolio, let's call it portfolio.
Yeah.
Because my incarnations that are closer to me like they don't know, but they knew that there was some deeper ancient magic back there and they were trying to prevent me from getting to it, and not like in a malicious and not even in a conscious way, but like, hey, we don't need access to this because like all this stuff is going to happen. Right.
Yeah.
And so wow, that's so interesting.
Like you don't even need to bring her to the surface. She can stay where she is. It's just that you have access to her now that you can see her. So I was just doing a chakra balancing to for everything that just came in. I wanted to make sure it all went to where it belongs and it's
Hmm.
balanced. And it was interesting because I've never seen this before. There has been a um like a sword that I'm working on that has a golden handle up here with jewels.
Hmm.
And that as I'm doing light language to balance it, my hands have been going around it. So there's something, I don't know why that imagery is in there, but that's part of the balancing your chakra.
That's so funny because the book I'm reading right now, the activating book, okay, they just got to the part like today, where they were talking about these 4 swords that are part of like they're the oldest, like part of the oldest things on Earth. And there's fire, water, earth, and air, and they balance the elements. And the way that you just described the sword was the way one of the swords was depicted in the book. And so that's really interesting. It has something to do with the ancient magic that she's like connected to. So
I
that's
saw
very interesting.
I saw it go down and hit the earth under the water and like stand up. And then I saw this energy come off of these parts that come up around the handle as you were talking about
It is
that.
giving me very much like sword in the stone vibes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yes.
I've never seen anything attached to balancing like chakras before like that. And now I'm seeing a bunch of DNA strands, and the it's I don't know what to call it other than that, where it's like two strands that keep going in a circle, um, like a column where they both. How am I trying to say that? Um, and then there's dots and stuff. So these are all light code. This is like light language coming in, and it's from beneath your feet and above your head. So it's like the column that you were in earlier, but it's just full of all of these double helix strands
Mm.
with dots. And it's still going. You have an activation happening on a on a it's this program that's not a program. It's something running through you.
Yeah, I can see it. I can see it going into my templating grid, if you will. I don't have a good word for it, but what I've been calling things like structural
Yeah.
systems. Yes.
Well, they're long, and they're just almost like fiber optics running through.
Hmm.
Okay,
That's how I
that's
was
what that's
seeing them. Yeah,
yeah.
and like the wall. Yeah, like in the wall. Yeah.
Now it's in your eyes. You're getting a energy going. You're getting an energy that's see through, that's floating in almost the way like it almost looks like an octopus swimming in an etheric pulsing, like its tendrils behind it are pulsing as it's projecting towards your pupils. I've never seen anything like that either. And now you're looking up, and so your eyes just got activated.
Yeah, I can feel them like super intense in my eyes. My eyes are like having a hard time staying open. And you know what's funny is like maybe like 4 years ago, I had an energy reading with somebody, and they were like, "Oh, you have this octopus that lives in your throat," but it's not an octopus. It's like a light being. Um,
Yeah,
Protected me for like a really long time, like in other times and spaces. Um,
this just
I
turned
wonder if it's
something
a small
on.
octopus.
It was like kind of like a jellyfish to an octopus, but it wasn't. It was see-through. It was etheric. It was just an organic structure that as it was being propelled forward, it was using its tendrils to keep going. Um, but it was an energy, and it was going in to activate your eyes. Oh, okay. My eyes
Okay.
open, so
That was so like intense, like in so many different capacities on so many different levels, but like in the best way. But like just so many dimensions and so many layers of incarnations and so much trauma and activations and upgrades. That was wild.
well, we spend all our time telling people to deal with their trauma and get rid of it and never go back. So I guess
Yeah,
it was like, well, it's your turn.
that was wild. This session, which I didn't think that it wouldn't be, obviously, because you're like super hecka powerful, but I just was not anticipating receiving all of that
Yeah.
today. Yes, yes, that was absolutely magical.
You'll be unlocking that for a month.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to. I was while we were talking, I was like, I'm gonna have to re-listen to this like several times because there was like so many layers of reality and dimensions and like things that I was having a hard time like keeping up with chords. I was like, oh, we're going through a lot right now.
My
Yeah,
head is so
yeah,
light, like I feel like I might not even be able to walk right now.
yeah.
That
My eyeballs are like I feel like I just got brand new
Yeah.
eyeballs put into my sockets. Yeah.
That last part with the double helix, like that was some type of reconnection on an ancient and galactic level at the same time, because it was way below you and way above you, and it was coursing through you, and it was like this column, like it what I would imagine is inside fiber optics. Like if you
Hmm.
were to open the cord and you would just see all of these separate lines of importance running to, to bring information down and up at the same time. And then there were these dots that looked like suspended metal balls in different places that reminded me a lot of light language.
It's a lot to download.
It's still happening,
I
by the way.
know. Honestly, that's a
By the
lot.
way,
Yeah, no, I'm sure it will be for like a hot minute as well. I cannot thank you enough for this because I have been kind of just in limbo since the eclipse, and like I knew some things were going to open up and activate, and we're making shifts and we're doing all this stuff, and I was just like, okay, well, I guess we'll just wait until that's ready. So like this is the a day of awakening for all these things, which I wasn't anticipating. But you know what? You get what I had put it out there of like, hey, I'm ready to like shift into this new whatever this is, right? And here we are.
the universe is like, hold my kombucha. Hold on. All right, here we go.
If anybody is watching this replay, okay, you need to book a session with Kimberly. Okay, so like
They're
that.
all different. They're all different.
And they are all different.
You
They
only
are
get
depending on where they're at on their
yeah,
journey. Okay, because
yeah,
yes, everybody's are very different from one another.
yeah.
However, it's going to be incredibly expansive and activating at whatever level that you are on for to really propel and accelerate you into the next chapter of your life, whatever that is. Absolutely a million times over. This was wild.
Yeah. This,
Yeah.
this was
Yes.
one of the most intense, like to see. And what I like about this, when we go somewhere and find the source of your trauma, we can see it from a distance, so it doesn't, like, there's some physical things that come up, but it's not like it's happening to you at the moment, so you're not scared or you're not terrified, you're not emotional. It's just
Yeah, we're observing it.
you're observing it, and then because you're observing it and it's being brought into your conscious state, you're remembering it as it's being shared, and then it immediately dissipates, like it's being let go.
Oh yeah, that's why I told my physical body,
Yeah.
like, hey, like let's just sit through it. Okay. Like I know it's really intense right now, but just like let's sit through it so that we can just release it for good. Like just it's only gonna be for a minute. Just
Yeah.
let it go through and then we'll be done. And then it was.
The I wish I knew who it was. That she's like a goddess, like a cedar creator. Um you never hear about any females with the Anunnaki. If anything, they came here because they didn't have females and they wanted women, and so that's why they started to create hybrid. Well, yeah, then they started to create the hybrid, which are the Nephilim. She was something else. So she was there then, but she had her own, she was part of some dynasty or something back then.
Yeah, I got the sense that there's like not any of those beings anymore. Like she's the
Yeah.
like
And
there's like
she's not
lineages of
gone.
them. Yeah, like there's lineages of like persons or whatever they are
Yeah.
after her, but there's not like whatever she is.
She's an origin.
Yeah, she it.
There
Yeah,
was
like that's just
like
her. Like
there
there's
was
no other.
nothing before her. There was nothing
Yes.
before her. So she's an origin point in our history, but and in your history specifically. She's not gone. She's not going anywhere. She's pre-Atlantean, but she did have some influence on Lemuria and Atlantis.
I was about to say, I think that she's probably the seeder of a lot of like Mintalkin and
Yeah.
Lemuria and Siri, like everything that has to do with being like water based. That she's of some type of water based being that is coming from her DNA or something like that.
I keep seeing the siren symbolism when they would put a woman on the front of a ship.
Mm-hmm.
She is part of the reason they do that. And that's ancient.
She's like before the mermaids. She's before the siren.
Yeah.
She's
And they,
before all of those people.
and I don't know why, like, I'm curious now. I want to look up why they, because you always hear of like a maiden voyage or whatever. I don't know why they put a woman on the front of a ship, but she's the source of that. And that's why they were afraid of sirens and afraid of, because men have always, I'm not a man hater, men have always been afraid of women's power, but this one, there was a good reason.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. But she was also very fiercely protective, and her magic is so strong that like she has no enemies, but her being private and secret, her mystical realm needs to be kept secret because it's not for everyone,
Yeah.
and it could do some major damage if it was found, because she would have to do what she needs to do to keep it secret, but she's not looking for that type of confrontation.
Right.
Oh, she's
That,
rad.
that
I'm
also that
actually.
also has that also that also is one of
She's
the reasons I had to go ahead.
she looks like Fiona from Shrek, and I don't know, like she's not a troll,
No, I know like
but
an ogre or something.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
because
yeah.
she had those two. Maybe that's
Yeah.
where that comes from. Yeah, so she just a little bit of her face structure, like she doesn't look like she's not of an ogre
No, I
look.
know shit. Yeah, more
Yeah,
just the facial structuring. That
yeah.
also makes sense of why I had to learn how to heal my anger in this incarnation. Like there's that was a big karmic thing that I have had to do in this lifetime is learn how to heal this anger. Because
Well, you came from a time when you could practice your wild. It wasn't wild and unhinged. It was just this wild magic that you were able to walk around freely. It was known that you could do what you do. Everybody did what they did, but there were a lot of really powerful magical beings walk around at that time. But it was prior to like an egoic human structure. So people weren't trying to confront each other. They were busy setting up topography and like the earth grid. And my hands are pulsing so hard right now. They um they were bringing they were breathing things into existence and creating, and it was a very like loving environment, and people independently were doing what they were doing, but there had to be a lot of magic and power at that time because there was no reason to hide it. It was part of becoming, it was a part of creating. And then when other beings came in and came to earth, or wherever they started coming in, they wanted it so badly because it was so powerful, and that's when you had to start hiding it, or not letting people know what you're capable of, or fighting people off, even killing them, to keep the negativity away, to protect the sacredness of this was always been good, it's always been pure, it's always been important. And it's been the other um, influences coming in that brought in a negative component at times to keep it safe.
while you were talking, I do have to run in just a second.
Yeah.
When you were a couple months ago, I was talking to Kale and we were doing kind of like this co-channeling thing. And when he was talking, I kind of like, you know how like you zone out while you're channeling and you're not actually like looking at yourself in the camera. Medusa's face flashed in front of mine, like where my face would be. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. Okay. And while you were just talking, I zoned out again, and she was showing me her face, like not Medusa's face, old girl. Okay, from the
Yeah.
deep. She was showing me her face on my face, and it was so intense. I was like, I can't. I can't, I
Yeah.
can't look, I can't look at you right now because
Well,
it was so, it was just so much energy that was like radiating off. Um, I was like, okay, I gotta move.
so Medusa's a Greek myth, but I would say that she comes from the realm of the Anunnaki because they were serpent. There's a lot of them depicted in India. So the
Hmm.
Anunnaki are like in Sumeria, you see the men with beards holding the handbags. Um, and those handbags are seen all over in all origin civilizations too. But in ancient India, you see them as half serpent, half humanoid, human hybrids. And I'm getting a ping that that's where she actually comes from. Like that's why they gave her serpent hair because there was some type like mystical beings can show themselves however they need to. And I think at times these original gods and goddesses would make themselves terrifying. They weren't, but they would make themselves appear terrifying to the enemy. Because how
And
else do you?
that's how she was showing me her face, and I was like, girl, like, like
Yeah.
that's really intense.
Well,
Like, I'm
just
not scared. I'm not scared of it,
yeah.
but it's just like, oh, okay. It's also like integrating in, like, hey, this is part of your power. This is part of your, all this stuff. I was like, okay. Like, so it's just
Yeah.
it's getting used to the things that we talked about today of like, oh, I can see these other facets of myself that I haven't been available to before. So it's so vastly different than the type of mama bird soft energy, the fairy energy that I try and carry and that I try and project. And so it's almost like butting up against my template that I have in this one, trying to integrate the new template, and it's like, this is not what we
I
typically
keep
do. You know what I mean?
I keep getting that the mask is off now. Like you don't like
Yes.
everything moving forward is going to be seen. Like you don't have to. You're not going to come up against enemies in a way that you have to terrify them.
Right, right. That sounds like
You're
we don't, like, it's fine. Like, we don't need.
yeah.
Yes. Okay. Okay. I do have to run though. I'm so sorry. I apologize.
Oh, I'm
Yeah.
good. Yeah, I'm gonna go try to walk and function in the 3D.
I'm about to head to a baseball game and reintegrate back into the 3D.
Well, that'll get you there real quick.
Yes, it
Yeah.
will. Yes. Yeah.
All right. Well, cool. Yeah, no, this double helix light language column activation is gonna run for like the next 3 days. It's just in the background. You might hear whirring or machinery type noise.
Oh my God. I have been listening to this 12 strand DNA activation meditation for the last week while I was sleeping.
That would make sense. Yeah.
Okay.
Divinely guided. Yeah.
Yeah.
So for the next 3 days, you might have moments where you feel that like lightness of being or lightheaded or like just a high vibration, high frequency feeling in your chest. And it's just doing its job and it's activating and it's finding the centers that it's going to stay in for a while and stuff, but it's just part of the activation, but it'll happen over 3 days so that it doesn't take you down physically.
Thank goodness, because we be out here be tired. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. I'm gonna send you a lot of voice notes after the baseball game, but I want to thank you so much. That was absolutely incredible and exactly what I needed and is life changing.
Oh wow, thank you.
No, it really
Yeah.
is. You bet. Like, yeah, you were the person who has unlocked these facets of myself that may have taken me an incredibly long time to do on my own. So I appreciate you for accelerating that journey.
You're welcome. What's interesting is I found you for help. Like I booked a bunch of sessions with you
Yeah,
years
originally
ago.
back in the day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then through all of learning, unlocking all of us and learning everything while our friendship has grown, now I um all this time, like it was destined that I was going to help you activate an even greater part of yourself. That's cool.
I'm trying not to cry right
I know.
now.
Me too.
Okay. But
All
I
right.
will,
Well,
I will,
yay,
I
yay
will
for
send, I
friendship.
will send you some voice notes when I collect
Okay.
myself. Okay.
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 Benny's part of this. Yeah, your son's part of this. He rides something in the sky. You guys have shared a lifetime. Like you're like I'm getting like sky riders.
Oh, that's
Like
cool.
you, yeah. Okay. All right. Hope they win.
Oh, thank you.
You certainly, yeah,
About to
you
go see
certainly
Benny.
have. You
Yeah.
have.
All right. I
Okay.
love you.
I love you too.
Bye.
Bye.